Welcome to the Lock Sportscast, your weekly source for lock sport news and occasional interviews. I'm your host, Charles Current. In today's episode, we have a conversation with Jeff Moss. Jeff Moss is a locksmith, a lock collector, and a YouTube creator. You can check him and his lock collection out on his YouTube channel called Jeff Moss. A link to his channel will be in the show notes. For full show notes with links, visit www.thelocksportscast.com. You can find this show on most podcast apps, YouTube, and at thelocksportscast.com. Before we get started, I'd like to say thank you to this episode's producers. Executive producers for this episode are Medler, Panda-Frog, and Michael Gilchrist, who are my Patreon subscribers. A special thanks to Jeff Moss for being my guinea pig on my first ever interview. I just want to say right off the bat, this is my first ever interview. I actually had somebody else lined up first, but Jeff scheduling came out ahead of time, so he got to be the guinea pig. I had some technical problems while recording this. My equipment didn't work quite the way I expected it to, and I had a failure on a recorder. But I promise I'll keep improving my equipment and my skills. So stick with me. Don't judge me completely based on this particular interview. And with that, here's the conversation with Jeff Moss. Welcome to the Lock Sportscast.
Glad to be here.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into lock sport and what journey you've been on?
So my story started, I've always been mechanical. I was the kid that took everything apart. My toys were tools. I've always, I wanted to be a mechanic when I was a kid. I wanted to be a landscaper. Then I wanted to be a car designer because my grandpa said you could make a lot of money doing that. Then my dad got a job working for a telecommunications company. So I got super into that industry, which led into IT. I discovered lockpicking probably by accident in college, just some YouTube videos, bought a few things, was not very good at picking, but discovered that I was better at taking locks apart, fixing them, making them work again, got to know the locksmiths at my school, started buying parts and cylinders and things like that. Had an IT job that paid for the hobbies. It was actually at a manufacturing company, so I was able to get some tools made and things like that I actually now use. Did that for about 3 years. Didn't like being on call 24/7. It was pretty high stress. Continued building my collection and local lock sport groups, stuff like that. Doing events, local conferences and things. A job opened up at a large security company here in town. In their IT department, and I thought it would be great because it's a locksmithing company and it was doing IT. I was there for about 2.5 years. Basically, they didn't care that I was interested in locks. I was there to do computer stuff. I was around the stuff all day, and it was like, basically, it's almost like being, taunted with the stuff that you like and you can't do anything, So the company that I work for has been around a very long time, not as long as some of the other shops here, but long enough. And a family, I knew them. I had been in there before buying stuff, and I knew a lot of people that used them. And somebody that my mom worked with was like, hey, if Jeff is ever interested, I'll put in a good word. And at some point I reached the point, I'm like, I don't want to do this job anymore. So he put me in touch with him, who's my boss now. Went and met with him. He was able to use somebody not only in the shop, but also, with my IT background. And now that, even though I don't really do that kind of stuff, it comes into play with some of the things that we're doing now, and I can get into that a little bit later. But it's good to have that person, good to have that knowledge in your back pocket. Most of what I'm doing is mechanical stuff, day to day. but I feel like I get to contribute some unique stuff that some people may not, without the IT background.
Right.
Especially with a lot of the stuff that he's been doing and that we are now doing with some new equipment. It's a small company. There's 10 of us. Most of the people are on the road doing service calls. Primarily, I'm the one in the shop along with one of the owners, and whoever is not on calls, they're helping or preparing work or whatever the case may be, for their jobs, or I'm preparing work for their service for the next day, and somebody comes in and, I can talk about the whole COVID thing, how that's affected us, because it's kind of interesting. It's just no 2 days are the same, and I feel like in my IT world, everything was the same day after day. Checking the same things, checking the same boxes, following the same procedures, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for something to go wrong, which we sort of do as well. But now it's like the phone rings, and that's somebody wanting us to come out and do something, and some of it's an emergency, but a lot of it is a perceived emergency, but it's really not an emergency. It's like, do you want to pay for emergency service? Well, not really. You can do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
If it's at 5:00 and something's broken and they can't secure the building, that's a different story. And we send a guy out, and they'll, depending on what it is, we have the retail customers that call us if somebody can't lock up a store on a holiday and they haven't tested anything, and they haven't used their keys in 9 months, and that's coming soon. So it's a small company, but we get involved with some pretty big stuff, because of the relationships that that the owners have built, and just being in the community since 1964 is when their dad started the business.
Oh, wow.
So, there's a lot of customers that have been with them forever, just walk-in business. I've been coming here for 50 years, and, other local businesses that we do a lot of work for. So it's, I get to make things and use my hands and get dirty and, figure out why something stopped working. And, you can't fix everything, but, it's like the collector in me pains me when, the woman brings in a 100-year-old mortise cylinder that's basically frozen solid. And, if we had the time, to soak it for 2 days and take it up, it's just not cost effective.
Yeah.
You're selling her a $20 cylinder. It's just, unless it was, a historic house or something like that. And it's like, I probably have that cylinder sitting down here somewhere. But, you can't replicate that, patina and all that stuff. But they just want something that's functional. So it's like, I see stuff where it's like, yeah, I would take the time if it was me, but, for the customer and for the boss and the person that's paying the bills, they don't have the same enthusiasm about it. They just want,
Right. How often do you see that older stuff?
Comes in waves. I mean, now that people are doing things again, we get, some of the older mortise locks brought in, and people are working on their cars and some of the older car stuff that we do. Guy brought in he had a Corvette that he didn't have keys for the door. He just got it from Alabama. He brought in the glove box. We're able to make a key from that, and based off of that, make a key that worked the doors, because the way the numbers added up, it can only be like one of two keys. And the first key my boss made worked the door. So, there's 6 cuts and you have 5, and you all have to add up to an even number. There's a max. I forget what it is. I have it written down at work. So if it, in your head that it can only be, one of 2 cuts. And if you cut the first one,
you get a 50-50, right?
Right. And so there's that. There's, people working on old buildings from time to time, and there's old hardware that you have to keep rekeying, and, as new buildings are being built and restorations. And I was actually, it never happened, but they filmed a movie at a school here that was since knocked down, and the guy needed a Schlage spanner wrench to take the lock off a door or something. And he was supposed to bring me a lock after they filmed the movie, and he never did. it was a neat Schlage knob with a design they haven't made in 50 years, and like would be cool.
Oh, I forgot about you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, not a big deal, but there's stuff like that where like everything has to match. Well, they haven't made these locks in 20 years. Well, just piece it together. Okay. There's like some condominiums that are like that, where everything on the outside of all the unit doors have to look the same. Well, Schlage hasn't made that type of lock forever, and somehow they make them work, whether they're taking them out of storage or, it's just things aren't made. That's probably one of the challenges that I didn't maybe foresee or realize. It's like stuff just isn't made the same way or to the same standards as it used to be. And it's not going to, I sold a guy a new lock the other day. He had a Schlage F-Series knob, and it was marked from 1984, so it's older than me. And you're not going to get that kind of life out of a new Schlage lock today, at least not the residential stuff.
Unlikely.
Things are right. If you buy $150 or $200 Schlage grade 1 or grade 2, yeah, you probably will. I mean, there's definitely some parts inside that aren't what they used to be. But for the most part, the higher end stuff is still, I had a Sergeant Mortis lock that a truck hit the door, and it stayed solid and secure. I mean, the lock had to be replaced, but it held. It's like that's a $600-700 lock. The door stayed intact. The lock stayed locked. Wouldn't unlock, but stuff like that where you're paying a lot more. The $15 quickset knob at Home Depot, we don't try to compete with that.
So
our key,
how big a difference is there between the commercial grade Schlage and the residential? I have some idea because I have residential stuff here, and
Schlage,
we use commercial at work, but
even the same Schlage F-Series that we get, the cylinders are not brass anymore. That stuff's basically the same. The roses come off the lock when you open the box. I don't think that's much different than what you buy at Home Depot. But like the A-Series, for example, the cylinders are still solid brass. They have nickel silver pins versus, like some pot metal with brass pins and, brass keys and not nickel silver, that kind of thing. The quickset stuff is not much different. The stuff that we sell still has a metal spindle, doesn't have a plastic spindle. We don't sell the smart key. We repair them when they fail, because they do fail. But like some of their stuff, like their lever, there with the thumb press and stuff, there's you open this up, who designed this? You have to take this entire thing apart to get the cylinder out, and there's springs and ball bearings and covered in grease, and a half hour later you're swearing at the guy who designed this thing. But if you had a Schlage E-Series handle set from the 50s, even though the parts aren't made anymore, you could probably fix it in, everybody has a stock of, old stuff, but sometimes you got to tell people, sorry, you got to buy a new door. A lot of it, people have iron security doors, and there was one brand called Imperial that used this weird lock, and they use Dexter cylinders, and they just stopped making the whole thing, the door and the lock. People come in, we had a few parts, typically they got to buy a whole new security door. And oops, oh, that's okay, I dropped something. That some people don't realize that. They just think the parts are sitting on a shelf somewhere. I looked at wow, this place has a ton of stuff. Well, there's a lot of stuff, we keep parts for certain people, things that aren't made anymore, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. These locks, a lot of it's on the imported stuff. I see cabinet locks and file cabinets and furniture stuff where, somebody takes a copy of a Y11 in the blank, and it's not, it's just imported stuff that we can't really match up. So somebody needs keys, and we can't make them because they just don't have blanks, because they didn't use something that was, an industry standard type of thing. And that makes our job because they're coming to us and we're the experts, and we can't always do it. You don't want to just sell them new stuff, but sometimes that's the reality. Is that I don't want people to think, oh, these guys are just trying to sell me stuff. Like, no, we can't get it. If somebody buys a building with someone else's restricted cylinders on it, that's may or may not be a patented product, and they don't want to deal with that company. So they come to us, and we basically say, there you go, here's Cava Peaks. It's going to cost you a lot less than the Medico, but you have to replace everything because, you're tied to another vendor. So that's, it's just even though it's not patented, it's still restricted, and we're not going to, we can't make the key, so sorry. I mean, at least once a day, somebody comes in with someone else's restricted Medico key asking us to make it.
Oh, so they're restricted by the area or by shop?
Yeah, well, the particular company, which is the one I used to work for, Medico has several programs, and this one is like higher than the distributor one. There's maybe only 12 or 15 locksmiths in the country that have this keyway, and it's, they can sell it all around the country to their customers, but nobody's going to cut anybody else's blanks. We couldn't get them anyway.
Right.
It was a buy-in like back in the 80s, and they get their stuff and it's got their name on it. Whereas there's other Medico stuff that, you could sign up to be a distributor, and conceivably, I guess you could, if you had that keyway, you could rekey it. We take out a ton of their cylinders kind of thing, but we can't do anything. If somebody had a lock that it was an emergency and it was on that key, we could rekey it or make it work. We do work on some of the older Medico stuff, but, the only way to get parts for that Medico is through this company, because that's their, we have our Cava Peaks. We're the only one in the area that has it because, through our distributor, through Cava, they distribute certain keyways in certain areas. Same thing with Schlage. It's, I think, by zip code, depending on which program you're in, either zip code or area code. So somebody 45 minutes away could have the same sidebar, but it has our number on it, a different, has a certain ID number where they wouldn't cut our key and we wouldn't cut theirs because it's a contract. Okay,
that makes sense.
So, there's a lot of these people, we're going to 3D print. As a collector, it's one thing, and I've made things work for my own locks by modifying one Medico keyway to fit another. But for a customer, you would never do that. Or, I'll 3D print you this key. No, it's hard to see, because at one point it's like, no, you're disclosing things that are vulnerable. And the other hand, it's like, I would never do that for a customer,
Right.
Because there's
the hobby level and then there's the professional level, and certain things are not done.
Right. Like I would never, I have some old railroad locks here that were typically they would use like a cast brass or a cast bronze key. I had somebody make the key out of a piece of copper pipe. Well, that thing's going to be used 5 times in the next 5 years. You would never tell the customer, well, yeah, I can make this for you in my basement. You wouldn't do that. But for your own personal use and things that you're not relying on it, it's sort of like why, it's why you tell people you don't pick locks that you don't use, and more importantly, you don't pick locks that you rely on because you're just asking for problems. And
things can definitely go wrong.
And those threads, those are all the time. And there's always going to be, somebody's breaking in, someone's doing, we tell people, criminals aren't picking locks, is what we tell people in our lock picking presentations and stuff. Picking locks takes time, and if somebody wants to get in, they're going to do the quickest thing possible. Are we going to be able to get in with picks every time? No. Sometimes they have to be drilled. Sometimes locks fail. Being in the shop, it's different. I'm not the one actually going to the lockouts, but, say you got 4 cylinders on the door and you can't get in one, so you drill it and take the rest out. And, there's some things that it's not worth that. You could sit there and, okay, I have a Schlage lock on the door. I got to get in. I'll impression a key. Well, in the shop, when you have time to do that and the lock won't pick, like on a Schlage knob or something stupid, and you just need to get it apart, you try picking it, you try bumping it. All right, I'll impression a key, and eventually it'll open because there's 4 more like it. That you wouldn't do that in the field, but if it was, I don't know, like a set of cabinet locks or something simple, maybe you would. It depends on what, our guys are pretty busy, and there's only so much time. You can't spend all day, because you got other calls and people need to get in their house.
Yeah, time is money. So How many locks do you expect you probably have in your collection down there?
I stopped counting a long time ago. It's easier that way. I really have no idea.
I've seen a few of your videos where you're going through those.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just like, there's just so much stuff. But it's nothing compared to a lot of other people. Plus, a lot of it's really not displayed. It's in all these drawers and bins, and so it's organized and it looks like a hardware store, because a lot of the bins and stuff actually came from the hardware store I used to work at. And that's how I sort of got into it. I worked at a couple hardware stores in high school, got a lot of keys, was interested in how stuff worked. One guy showed me how to rekey quickside locks and, real basic stuff, which now I could do in my sleep. But quickside comes in and it's like, ugh. Because most of the time we're master keying them, and the second you take them apart, it's just, and there's, it's a lot where they're worn out. The landlord's rekeying these locks for the 27th time, and, so you can adjust, make it use instead of every step using, a 1 master pin, you might stretch it out to use a 2 master pin every other cut, so that you don't have as small the depth, in between your cuts, because, a 1 master pin for quickset is pretty small. You'll get less keys, but you'll have less issues, because if you go up to like a 2 master wafer, which is like 40 thousandths or something, and there's other things. It's like this lock is you're just gonna have issues, and they're not gonna put in better stuff. Even like the Schlage F series, like with the compressible, like they're really not designed to be master key, but sometimes you have to do it and make it work. But it's like, they're not going to spend the money to do it the right way. At what point do you? And that's part of it. It's like, I've had customers and I've looked at stuff and I've said to my boss, like, really? And they're like, yeah, just, this is what they want. I'm like, okay.
So what the customer's paying you to do?
Well, a lot of it is when you take over somebody else's stuff, and constantly, whether we're the preferred vendor and the general contractor has somebody do it, or they don't like them, or they don't like another locksmith, or they're not getting service. So half the time, I don't have a key here, but you could pick any key. Guy comes in, I want the locks keyed up, and hang on, I'm just trying to find something to use. Here's my master key. Just make them work. We don't have a system. And it's like, do you? And there's two. I could talk about this for a long time, but do you? There are 3 things you could do. One, you take that master key, you take a pair of quickset precuts or Schlage precuts, and you just make it work. You take their master key, you make a system in the computer, you explain to them, we don't know what you have, we can't guarantee what's in use going forward, we'll keep track. Or you create a whole new master key system with a new master key, tell them that as they bring locks in, you're going to put them on the new master key, everything will be documented. It's really not going to cost more, but they'll know what's, and eventually they'll rotate off the old system. And obviously that's going to be the best, because you're already using most of the cases as an unrestricted system, because otherwise we wouldn't really be working on it. It's a Schlage or a Yale or whatever. You don't know what's out there, but most people don't really care, unless it's, hey, our maintenance guy got fired, he has all these master keys, we have to redo everything. If it's a Primus system or something, they're not going to get the blanks or the peaks or whatever, or they just, there are other times where we just have, okay, we want to rekey our whole facility. Okay, we're redoing this particular grocery store. We're putting in all new doors and hardware. We're taking the old stuff out. We're putting new cores in, and they put in doors that don't match the rest of the system or the housings or whatever. And it's kind of like, do you not realize what they're using before? They don't think about it. They just are slapping stuff in, and we have to deal with it. And a lot of it is, there was a job that came up last week where the hardware general contractor uses a hardware supplier. The hardware supplier's keying guy was out sick. So can you guys make this happen? So we did, and it took like 2 people working on this thing, for a couple days back and forth, pinning the cylinders and then going out and installing them, because somebody else couldn't do it. And we were able to do it and made everybody happy. But then there's other times where, like, I had a box of cores dropped off the other day. That same hardware supplier, through a different general contractor, told the customer that they couldn't get best cores that weren't pinned. Well, that's not true, because you have to get them some. So the building uses a 6-pin system, and they provided them 7-pin cores and locks and stuff, which is fine. But they pinned all these locks up with keys that were basically useless. So I took all their cores, dumped them out, repinned them. I had 15 cores, brand new, best original cores. Like 10 of them I couldn't even turn. So somehow they got them keyed up once, and they were so tight I couldn't get them to work. So we ended up selling them more cores out of our own stock that were, they're not best, but they're, made by another company. And, it's a good US made core, but it's like, if they would have just ordered the stuff from us in the beginning, we wouldn't have used 7-pin cores where you don't need them. We would have had 6-pin cores, would have been on the building system. And then they come and order like 26 more keys, and their key machine broke. So we're getting work, like the company that manages the buildings, we're already doing stuff in the rest of the building. Hey, we have their key system. We do all their stuff. The general contractor does work with us on all these other projects. But for whatever reason, it has to go through this hardware, it's like it goes through the hardware supplier, who then uses us on other jobs that they can't do. Like, they only do Schley. So they have a best or whatever, something weird, like the building has an existing. There's so many different. I haven't even talked about, like, the over-the-counter customer. I mean, that's just the neighborhood, and everyday people coming in to get keys made or locks rekeyed for their house.
So what percentage of your customers are the commercial versus residential, or, the over-the-counter versus...
I would say overall 50-50. I mean, with the COVID stuff, for a while, there were no residential people coming in. We weren't doing residential service calls. People would come and get car keys made, and we wouldn't do them because we didn't want to go into people's cars. And slowly things have gotten back up. We never closed. We shortened our hours for a bit, and we're still limiting. We only let 2 people in at a time. You have to wear a mask. We all wear masks, taking all the precautions, trying to anyway. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of commercial accounts that, we're the only place they go. So anytime they need locks or keys or anything, I might see these guys every other day, like the schools or the hospitals that are around. And we recently got a programming machine that we can do a lot more car keys, where we were turning away quite a few of them. Now we have a fancy programmer, and they got a new Sidewinder machine. So between those, we're definitely busier. Somebody will come in, they need a key, we get it in a day or 2. They come back, we cut and program it. It might take a half hour, but that's a half hour I'm in the parking lot that I'm not working on something else, because there's orders coming in from stores. There's service calls that need to be done in the next couple of days that need keys cut or locks, cylinders prepped or whatever it is. It's pretty, there's definitely a lot of moving parts. So, at least trying to get things scheduled on the shop side, like, don't come in at 4:45 to get a key programmed, and that happened the other day.
So how busy is the shop? Did COVID really affect your business level much? Or?
I mean, for a little while, it was pretty slow in the shop, and it's definitely picked back up as far as, people coming in and all that. Yeah, I mean, the last month or so, it just sort of like, exploded. I had like a bench with nothing, but I went from like the bench being clear to like, what time is it? There's just stuff all,
playing catch up.
Stop. Right.
For all the people that didn't come in before.
Yeah, I would say. Or there's all of a sudden there's an influx of construction projects because there's more money, and everything's coming in and has to get done right away because it's an emergency to the customer. And that's obviously, it's like, well, if you would have planned this before, we could have had this done on a timeline or on a certain some sort of schedule, not just I need it yesterday. And there's a lot of that. So you're constantly dropping one thing to do something else, and then eventually getting caught back up. And that happens for sure. It's like I'll start my day and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to think of it. Like I was trying to work on these pours. I'm like, all right, I got 5 more on my bench. 8:30 tomorrow morning, I'll get them done. Well, at noon, I was able to do 1 because I had so many other things coming in. And there being, me plus, used to be 2 of us in the shop full time, so one person could be working on a project, one could be just dealing with the counter. So, there's a lot, it's like if I'm out doing a car for 15 minutes, one of the other people will get the counter, or get the phones or whatever, scheduling service calls, that type of thing.
Right.
Because it's pretty consistent. I mean, we have commercial accounts that, we're the only one they call, and there's always something. So it's,
so
it's definitely good to be busy.
Yeah. So do you do much in the way of picking for fun anymore, or has the work kind of burned it out of you?
Well, I don't do much picking in the shop, really. I mean, people bring stuff in, and you have to get it open to rekey it. But I get a lot of padlocks and things without keys, and I want to make sure they work before I send them to my buddy to impression them, or that sort of stuff. Taking apart old cylinders to make them work and things like that. But no, I don't have to do a ton of picking. But I also try not to drill things and try not to destroy them. You get pretty good at taking apart knobs and levers from the back, to get to the cylinder. I had to do that today. The customer had a Peaks cylinder in there from somebody else that they needed it to work on a Schlage, just an SC1 key. They didn't have any keys. And probably not going to pick it because the keyway's super, tight, restricted. So I took the lock apart, got the cylinder out, and it definitely hadn't been serviced in a long time. Thought about selling the guy a new knob, but again, there was nothing wrong with it.
Right.
So
I just know some people, say don't ever do your hobby for a living because it ruins it. Obviously, you still collect a lot, so.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get stuff that comes in from work or stuff that we take out of it. We don't do multi-lock. So some coworker gave me some multi-lock that they took out. I sent it to Bill Bacardi, and he made me keys, put it in the collection. Rather than throwing it away, or it could be scrapped or whatever. But you definitely, there's stuff out there that is different, and definitely you never know what you're going to see. I was working on a Nissan ignition for a car dealership this morning. And the actual rekeying part of it is easy, but drilling out the retaining pins that hold the whole thing together and getting all that apart and keeping everything together, not ruining a brand new lock, because that's just how they come. They come keyed and assembled from the factory, and they had to be matched to the customer's key. And, so that's like an hour's worth of work trying to get these stupid pins out,
Yeah.
It's definitely, it gets to be, some of the jobs are more frustrating than others. Anything like Honda with they have a very common problem of the split wafers in the ignitions failing, and they lock up, and the doors use that same stupid system. And I was rekeying, it was a brand new lock, but they just are a pain.
When did they go to that system?
I would say sometime in the 2000s. Because I don't know for sure.
I used to work for Honda over 15 years ago now. Yeah. But they were.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, but
We were
It's
just
not, you know,
getting into the chipped keys and stuff when
Yeah.
I left, so
Right, anything, you know, the laser cut, the Sidewinder keys, whatever.
we didn't have that
I
yet.
believe those are all split wafers as far as I know. And I hate them. But,
Because
you know,
we used to cut, punch cut keys for customers all the time on the old system. They were really easy to rekey. And
yeah, most of I think the dealerships, some of them have the clippers or whatever.
yeah.
But even like GM doesn't go back that far anymore for codes. So people are they're sending people to us because they're not going to take apart a lock and rekey it, and then they'll bring us cylinders. It's just a cycle. Like,
Yeah, that was before I got into Locksport, but we actually did. I remember in the parts department, which is where I was working at the time, we cut keys. We would recode or put new wafers in to set up a new lock for a customer so the techs could put it in and replace it.
Because I don't know of any dealerships doing that because they bring them on to us.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody does now that they've changed locks, but back in the day.
They might still cut the keys, but even some of that stuff they're sending to us. They get factory blanks and then they have us duplicate them and then they do the programming. That's common because they're not going to have a Sidewinder machine. Obviously, it's every brand has their own. I had a friend, they were a GM dealer back in the day. They would just clip out the keys, but they're not going to sit there and rekey a door. I doubt that they had the kits for that. Ford or whatever, they'll bring stuff to us. There's a couple different companies, like a truck repair company. They're bringing locks to us all the time to rekey, a door of the cable company's van or whatever. But yeah, you're dealing with, dealerships, parts departments, suppliers, customers. There's a lot of, and there's so many variations, and you put the wrong number and you get the wrong finish, and then the customer's pissed. And trying to be accurate, trying to do things timely is obviously important, being detailed. But I have a lot of, all the people that I work with have been doing this a very long time, and they have finishes and part numbers basically memorized. There's a lot of stuff out there that I've never seen that these guys have been working on for a long time.
So you said that shop started in '64?
Yeah, the two brothers own it. Their dad started as a little shoe repair and key shop and moved it to where it is now. The brothers took it over a long time ago, moved to our current location in 1994. It was basically around the corner, and expanded, and they do a lot of hard access, security cameras, apartment intercoms, that kind of stuff.
Do you play with any of that stuff?
A little bit, I'll help with some of the IT side of it, trying to get things to communicate and, programming cards for access control, jobs like that, and, having to program readers, that ship out and, changing what format they use. But definitely having some of the IT background, you're plugging into the OBD port, you're going into different menus and stuff like that on the vehicle. Obviously, it's not the same as doing, systems administration, whatever, but, having a little bit of that knowledge is helpful. I'm not out there running wire and stuff like that, even though I have, and I certainly don't mind doing that kind of stuff. But now it's like, okay, I'm kind of glad to be inside.
I would think that's probably going to be more and more common the way the technology in the world is heading, that type of knowledge will be a little more useful. Yeah. In the modern.
Yeah. I mean, we have guys that do, they get involved in the pretty big installs doing security cameras and stuff like that, for different customers, and, connecting all these apartment buildings together, because they had like separate access control systems in every building and separate internet connections that they were remoting from one building to the other. And, my boss was able to make a solution with some, point-to-point wireless stuff, and, make it a lot easier for the customer, and, save them from paying 5 internet bills, which is, I think there were some issues with it working anyway. So that, there's always going to be problems, and sometimes the technology doesn't work how you want it to, and that's always fun. Especially with some of these car keys, it's like, I'm following all the instructions, it's not working. Then I go and look it up on YouTube. Oh, they didn't tell you to leave the key in the ignition when you put a jumper in the OBD port. As soon as I did that, it worked. I'm like, I'm following the instructions exactly. But when the instructions aren't right.
Right. Yeah. That's always been a problem in the automotive world.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we have good support through, our supplier, and, the machine is, it's not a knockoff. It's made by Yoko. It's a known commodity. That you're going to find some issues.
Right.
But pretty much everything we've thrown at it, we've been able to do, except for a couple keys that customers have supplied that have been wrong, which is, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
You always think of you wouldn't take a steak to the restaurant and ask them to cook it and guarantee that you won't get sick, would you? That would be preposterous. So you're asking me to guarantee that this key's going to start your car and work, and it's not even something that I've supplied. That happens pretty often. I mean, now we're programming them. In the past, we wouldn't do that at all. But because,
So what other? You said your IT knowledge comes in handy in a few different aspects of your. What do you do? Problem solving and triaging different things, and that sort of stuff. Where don't have help desk tickets, but I have things that are always coming across my bench, or phone calls, or being able to troubleshoot different problems without being there. Some people are willing to pay for the service call. It's no problem. Some people want you to hold their hand through it over the phone, and then you'll have somebody come out if they can't figure it out. So that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. That does take a unique set of skills to be able to work through something that you can't see.
Right. And, dealing with, outages type of situations, working on projects. I mean, a lot of different stuff. Working in small groups. I'm also working directly with the customers in most cases. So, it's a small company. It's not like, everybody does everything. Whereas in other places, IT, you were part of a group of maybe 3-4 people. That's half the company where I am now. So
I take it you're doing IT in a pretty big company then.
Well, 200 people in both places. Yeah. One of which a lot of them were remote. They had 2 offices at the time, and there were quite a few people that worked from their homes around the country. So I was supporting people that, I never met. Maybe met them once. They came to the office or something, but they were in, Florida or Texas or whatever. And we, they would have equipment and connect back to the home office. But, I would say another thing that, dealing with non-technical people, because a lot of those people didn't understand the computer stuff. 99% of the people that I talked to, I need new tumblers. We joke about that in the locksmith, and I just need it retumbled. And it's like to a customer, everything is a tumbler. They don't know what they don't know in a lot of cases, and having to sort of take a step back and explain the stuff to people. Like, here's what you actually need. This probably isn't going to work, and here's trying to understand the actual situation.
Yeah, working back to what is the problem you're trying to solve. Right.
And I don't know everything for sure. I mean, I've, been doing this for almost 3 years professionally. I have a lot of knowledge of keyways and weird stuff, but actually in the field, like I'm selling door closers and panic bars, and I've never installed one. And so some of it's like, I have to defer to, whoever, because I don't know.
So you don't do much of the in the field installing. No. You're the bench back at the shop.
Right. And, there's a lot of that. I help in the field from time to time. There's something weird. They need an extra hand, or, usually with a heavy door, that sort of situation. Those are the ones that you don't like, glass doors, taking them down to install closers and things on the bottom. It's like stuff you never even realized, in the bottom of the door on a lot of those glass doors, that's where the closer is. Well, you would have no reason to know that if you weren't working on it. So you have to take that door off, it's on a pivot or whatever. A lot of a lot of what we do also is, telling people you really shouldn't do X, Y, Z. Fire codes and exit devices and enclosures and fire doors, and don't modify that, and don't put a deadbolt on that, and make sure you have an exit sign, or don't have this, or, there's a lot of stuff, double-sided deadbolts on a residential house. Well, if it's your own house, you can do it. But if it's a rental, the city of Cleveland or Section 8, whoever, HUD won't allow it. So you can't do it. But if you butt on a certain type of security door, if you have a thumb turn and it's not exactly straight up and down, you'll get, it's like there's so many different little nuances that you have to know. You can't do this, but it's really not designed for this either. So, okay, what do you do in this situation? So in a lot of it, you can't force people to do things. But again, if your name is on it, if it's blatantly wrong,
right?
We go out and look. If we went out and looked at something and they refuse to, fix it, I guess we would note that or whatever. There's stuff that comes up on inspections that has to be fixed and then checked, and we get called out for a lot of that. And again, I'm just the one taking the calls. I don't get to do the work, but I get to learn from people bringing stuff back and taking it apart and figuring out why it failed. And
so, do you ever?
And I mean,
do you ever feel like you want to go out in the field more, or are you perfectly content staying in the shop?
No,
or?
I mean, you learn a lot more by doing it, I think. But given everything now, I would rather be in the shop.
Yeah, I can understand that.
It's it's a known commodity,
right?
Versus going to somebody's house, going to their business, whatever, But it's certainly, either way, there's work, and there's the phone doesn't really stop ringing, which is good, but it's like sometimes you can't catch your breath. I'm trying to get stuff done, and there's 27 other things, going on, and somebody, where's my stuff that I ordered, and where's this, and so trying to be organized and dealing with people that have had stuff in the same spot for 20 years is always fun. It's like those parts have always been there. I moved them because they were in, I tried to organize XYZ. That can be a challenge.
Yeah, but when somebody's got everything memorized where it is, yeah.
Right. Like he can look in the keyboard and find a key in 30 seconds. I could be standing there for 5 minutes and not find some Yugo key blank or Fiat or whatever, because he put it there. He probably, remember.
How many how many key blanks do you guys have to carry just to do your normal job?
I mean,
it's got to be a huge number.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a good percentage of them that don't get touched, but you have them for just in case, or some weird thing, or I would say the most common ones, not automotive, is probably 50 different types, but we probably have 1,000 different blanks, I would guess, probably more, between domestic and foreign automotive, commercial cylinders, some high security stuff, plus all the transponder keys. So there's a lot. And, the common stuff, obviously we keep a lot more of. You go through 500 SC1s or KW1s every week or two, depending on what we're doing. SC4s, like the 6-pinch leg, we'll go through a lot of those. All the different best keyways, because we have customers that use all that. We have a couple of customers that are 90% Sargent, so we stock all the Sargent stuff for them because we're always sending keys to them. Some stuff we stock just for one customer, or it's like their end user restricted stuff where they order it through us and then we pin it up or whatever, or they bring us the blanks and we cut them. Same thing, where it's we don't even have the blanks in that case.
What kind of brands of high security locks do you carry and actually work on?
Medico, the older stuff. Schlage Primus, we do a lot of, and then Kaba Peaks, we do quite a bit of as well.
see the Kaba Peak.
I mean, you don't see it a ton, but we have a lot of it in the area. It's not super high security, but it's patented, restricted, available in every format, so you can key a whole building, mortise, rim, lever, knob, IC, all in the same system. And that's, we do a lot of that. So it's nice to retrofit. And that's one of the selling points, where they have existing hardware. It's all different stuff.
Are they cost effective?
Yes. You're not paying $125 a lock. You're not paying $125 a cylinder like you are with Schlage Primus. $60 a cylinder is a lot easier to swallow. The keys are only about $1 difference, which is kind of surprising. But, a high security cylinder with a sidebar and all that. Yeah, I mean, there's people that want the Primus keys for key control, but they don't need high security cylinders. So they'll put the high security cylinders on the important areas. Everybody has a Primus key. If you have to get into a higher security area that has the Primus cylinder, and then the customer can't get that key made at Home Depot or whatever. And the box, hold on, I want to make sure this box doesn't fall again. So yeah, there's some people that just want basic key control, and they don't need a restricted, or they don't need a high security cylinder. So yeah, we do that all the time. Yeah. Where that's a nice, selling feature of Primus. You can't peaks. It's one system, and there's also backwards compatibility with the old. We've been selling peaks for a long time, so there's older cylinders out there. Well, the new key fits into the old cylinder, so you can keep what's out there, keep your old keys. Any of the new keys we only use the preferred blanks, and anything new that we put in, we would use the preferred cylinder. But all the stuff going back to the 90s, I'm not going to tell them that they have to get new cylinders. You just keep what you have, because they might have keys that are they might have old keys or whatever the case is. So yeah, there's there's a large installed base of different things for sure. I would say, but the automotive stuff is because for a while we had a basic transponder package with a PC connected cloning device where you would have to go to the car for certain things, and we would do a handful of those, but a lot less people want a key without a remote. They want basically they want what the factory provided without paying the factory price. So we bought the Smart Pro. I did the research, and they decided what to get. And we don't stock most of the remotes because we can get them within a day or two.
Yeah, and it would be expensive to stock all the different.
Oh yeah,
oh, man.
Right. So like the GM, there's a lot that are on board and you don't need the programmer for. If somebody has a Toyota and they just want the key, we'll continue to use the Jet stuff. There's GM like the Circle Plus, so you don't need the programmer for that. And there's still plenty of cars that don't use a chip at all. The Kias and the Hyundais of the world, and they don't, that kind of thing.
They haven't converted yet.
Nope, they have. Even though their remotes, there's no transponder in a lot of them. But the Toyotas and Hondas and all that, there's a lot of variation. Used to be, I would say back in the day, which is before my time, where all you would see was GM. So you knew that's what you were getting in. There were just 6 or 8 different keyways, and each year they changed it. Well, then you start getting the foreign stuff, and then all of a sudden you keep having to carry more and more blanks, and it gets But then there's the keys that you don't touch any. Somebody brought in an old Honda motorcycle, which I never even knew they had single-sided pin tumbler ignitions at one point.
Yep,
and,
I have
the blank one. The blank is literally 6 feet above the counter where we never go. The boss has to stand up on the bench to get it, and we had 2 of them, and they're $8 a piece or whatever, and the guy was so happy.
Yeah,
even though they weren't original keys.
I tested my local locksmith with that exact same thing for my old 70s Honda that I bought, and I took it in there, and he's like, go to our other location. So I had to drive across town, and that guy.
Where are you located? What state?
Oh, it's Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of stuff. And the hardware stores send people to us, and the dealers, and, so if we don't have it, probably not going to get it. I mean, there's a few things that we don't have because there's just not enough demand. Guy needed some keys for a Mustang. We didn't have them, but we got them within 2 days, and he was happy to pay, pay for them.
If you got to have it, you got to have it.
Yeah. His keys weren't even written. I think somebody copied his keys, or they were handmade. It looked like they had been impressioned.
Oh, wow.
But then we had somebody, guy brought in an American padlock, and it's, can you make a key for it? Well, sure, we could sell you a new lock. Yeah, well, I want you to make a key for it. It's been sitting there for 2 weeks. It's done. It's like, okay, yeah, no problem. But there's a steamer trunk that's been sitting in our shop for 30 years. There's this cabinet with a safe built into it. Everybody asks about buying. And, they'll be back someday to get it. And it's been sitting there for who knows how long. It's, I don't know. Some things you don't question. It's some things, if they're sitting for a while, we'll put a price tag on them just to get them out. Got a lot of people, when our policy, when somebody brings in a safe or whatever, open it and they can take the stuff out. Well, a lot of times they don't come back. So these little Century Strong boxes we make a key for, and eventually they don't come back. So we just clean it up, put it on the shelf, and $25 or whatever. And or use safes, where there was a few where they didn't want us, they asked us to do the work on it and they didn't like the price. So just sell it. We don't care. Okay, but it's still sitting there.
Do you get many safes in?
No, I mean, I had one actually. The guy brought it in before COVID, and he finally picked it up. A Century safe we needed a combination for, and we don't stock a lot of safes just because they take up too much room. But we have a couple Guardall safes that we have on display that we sell, just a basic home use. Do
you do much work on combinations?
I've done some a little bit of combination changes and things basic stuff. Nothing advanced, but we do go out and open safes and things. When there are several people in Cleveland that all they do is safes, and sometimes we'll call them.
That's their specialty.
Right. There's a couple of guys, actually really one guy now that's all he does is safes.
I find that pretty fascinating, but it's not easy.
No, I mean, he'll fabricate parts and he'll do, yeah. It just, it's how much are you willing to get into it? The automotive stuff. Well, if you keep turning away business, eventually you realize maybe you shouldn't, and they did. So,
well, and if you're the only person in the region that's doing it, then it might be worthwhile. But it's a lot of time and money to invest in something if you're competing with a lot of other people, probably. So.
Right, and there's plenty of other people. Ace Hardware cuts car keys, and there's other automotive people, and there's, no, we're not doing. Believe me, there's plenty of work to go around. And there's other locksmiths, and we don't do automotive unlocking. But we have somebody that we tell people to call. We used to tell people to call him for the car key stuff, and now we have that machine. We don't do if you have no keys for your car, we don't do that. We don't go out to the car. We don't take locks out of vehicles. We don't have anywhere to work on them. In the parking lot, I pulled one door panel. It was absolutely miserable. It just rained. I was sitting on a piece of cardboard, to get a broken key out of a lock, but I had to take the whole cylinder, and it was just not fun. And I don't recommend, but if you have a shop and you're able to do it inside or whatever, it would probably be a lot easier.
So you guys don't do lockouts on automotive?
No, at one time they did, and it's just they've chosen not to do that. We do have enough business with, commercial, residential lockouts and things like that. And even that, we don't do a ton of lockouts, but we do some, and we get some emergency service, and again, mostly from the commercial stuff, because most residential people don't want to pay the emergency rates. But if it's one of our chain store customers, it's actually an emergency, they'll pay for the guy to come out. Most of the residential stuff, they'll wait till the next day, or somebody will find a key.
So, one question:
Yeah.
that comes from something you were talking about earlier on the COVID stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you started to see any increase in, say, rekeyings for evictions or anything like that recently?
No. I mean, the landlords that we deal with, it's all just pretty much constant. You know, people are always coming and going, but not really any evictions.
Just
At least that I'd see.
Just wondering, because I had started to see
yeah.
some stuff on the news about people starting to get evicted, so I didn't know if that was starting to hit you guys or anything.
No, and I know there was something with Jason and people got mad. It's like, you know, you have to feed your family. So if people call, you know, we'll do the work.
Well, yeah.
You know.
It's the business you're in.
Right.
So.
You know, it's, yeah. You know, mostly we don't get that. I mean, there will be stuff every once in a while. A lawyer calls, we have to lock somebody. I mean, I think that, you know, I took in a call. They said it was a rekey. Well, they neglected to tell us until we got out there that there was somebody living in this unit, and like, well, you need the police there. We can't do anything. Like, why wouldn't you tell us that?
They wanted you to rekey it while the people were still there to basically lock them out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't say that on the phone. So the girl, I took in the call as a rekey, is what they told me. And, I mean, they're stupid. I've heard, you know, all kinds of things. I mean, just stuff that it just makes your head spin.
Yeah, you're going to get
and
that.
Especially when you know, I have coworkers that have been doing this for a very long, you know, longer than I've been alive. So they've seen how the industry has changed and all the different stuff and all the people. And there's a lot of characters in the industry, you know, for sure. There were definitely some shady locksmiths, and, you know, it's a lot better than it was. They all worked for one guy at one point at different times that ended up dying in jail, but there's always stories, you know. It's remember when he did this and this happened? Like, oh my, you know, it's like, is this real? Oh yeah, like, wow.
So,
but
do you get to work very often on older locks? Anything?
No, not. I mean, you know, I'd say probably weekly, not, you know, daily. You know, people are not certainly not bringing in, here's a beautiful old padlock I want you to work on. No, it's you know, I have this lock in my front door that's not working. You know, that kind of thing. Interior mortise locks and stuff like that.
Have you got to work on anything particularly interesting while you've been in the shop?
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's always, like, you know, cool decorative stuff that gets brought in. Mortise locks, like pocket door mortise locks with like a little pull handle on the inside. Those are pretty cool. You know, just taking a mortise lock that's broken and forming a spring and making things, you know, taking something that somebody would have thrown away, you know, and made it work. And we can do a lot of stuff. You know, we're not fabricating from scratch or anything, you know, but we can take some spring steel and put things back together, and you know, the customer doesn't have to try hunting down, you know, some bizarre interior lock that isn't available because there were no standards back then, and the locks are all different sizes, and that's something that you run into for sure. You know, I'm not going to tell someone, oh, you got to go to an antique store. Well, we'll try to fix it if we can. You know, if it's got a part that's snapped off, there's not much we can do. But if it's got a missing spring, you know, I've made keys. There's a group that runs a scenic railroad, and they've brought in like parts off of their caboose or some sort of big sliding door lock that we had to make keys for. You know, that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
You know, nothing, you know, it's like you make keys for the electric company for padlocks, and it's like, oh, that's cool, but I have that lock sitting on my shelf. You know, it's like,
well, you know, you've got just about everything on your shelves. So
Right. So it's, you know, it's cool. I mean, I see a lot of different stuff. I mean, I don't know if there's one that's like the coolest, but, you know, just people bring in a bag of parts and I have to hand them back something that's complete. You know, stuff that, you know, kids have destroyed at the schools or whatever the case is. And it's like, what did they do to this? You know? And then the maintenance guy swears he didn't take it apart, but half of the screws are missing.
Yeah, they've never taken it apart. No.
Right. If you hadn't touched it, you know, now this is a much more expensive, you know, the bolt froze on a lock, so we cut the door with a Sawzall. Well, you basically have to replace the whole lock now, dude. but they're not gonna call us out for a service call because they can't afford that, but they have to buy a whole new lock. It doesn't make sense. Some things you question, and some things are like, you're like, okay, you're happy that they're ordering something for you.
Well, yeah, they're coming to you eventually. So
yeah.
They may not have thought it through ahead of time, but
right. They're trying to do something right away, and that's a lot of stuff is reactionary, not proactive, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is in most industries.
Wait until you lost your last key, and then you go look. Then it's a problem. The car came with 2 keys, and you don't make a spare. You just wait until.
Yeah.
It's but that keeps me in business. So.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it's the way it is in a lot of different industries. There's.
Yeah. My dad's a lawyer, and he's doing this for a long time. He said, if it wasn't for people like them, there'd be no need for people like you.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, if people didn't do X, they wouldn't have to, rekey their house or whatever. I mean, sure, if there weren't bad people, there'd be no reason for locks, and there'd be no, like if you want to think of it like that.
Yeah.
If there was no reason to keep things locked up, but there's, seeing it from both points, it's like people come in, will you sell lockpicks? No. But we'll sell you pin kit. We'll sell you key blanks. We'll sell some of the tools to do our job, but not all of, we'll sell a customer a key machine, and they'll probably end up bringing it back in for calibration and parts. And they're probably going to buy their blanks from us. So even if we're not cutting every key from them, we're still going to service the stuff, so or they don't have time, so they want me to cut, 50 keys. Sure. My punch machine for best is much better than the one than yours, so it won't take me 10 minutes. It might take you an hour. So, sure. Having better equipment, obviously. We have, this guy online on one of Locksmith Reddit was, want a set of depth and space keys so I can rekey my own stuff, and nobody will sell them to me. I mean, it's like if you're doing this for more than a hobby, I have depth and space keys here. I never use them, because there's code machine. I don't have a code machine at home, but anybody who's doing this, has the right equipment to do the job. They haven't used depth and space keys in, 40 years for really anything regularly, because a code machine do it in, first of all, you would need the code machine to make the depth and space keys, so you can do that.
Either you have to buy them from a locksmith that can, which is what they're trying to do with you.
Well, no, this was somebody online. This is not with us, but we won't sell bump. We don't sell bump keys. We don't sell picks, even though there's no rules in Ohio against really any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common.
You don't know.
Pretty common with a lot of locksmiths is they won't sell you that stuff.
But you can walk across the street to Home Depot and buy a drill. So.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to tell you how to drill it open. I won't tell you. If you're not going to buy the key from me, I'm not going to tell you how to program it. There's that kind of thing. And there's obviously it's so much different because information is so much easier to find. And there's stuff that, you keep under your hat, so to speak, and you don't tell them. I'm not going to say that you wouldn't tell them if there's a flaw, but, I'm not going to tell them exactly how to get in, let's say.
Yeah. And I know, I cover a lot of stories as part of the podcast where, criminals are caught with picks. But there's only been, I think, one story that I covered where the police claim to have actually caught them trying to use the picks out of all of those. Right. I think a lot of criminals think that they'd be handy and they buy them or steal them from whatever, but they don't. Right. They don't take the time to learn to actually use them, so they're carrying them and.
Right, or you're committing a crime and you happen to have them on you.
Right.
I carry them on the way to and from work. I don't carry them around with me all the time. It's a tool for my job. It's an interesting, I guess, dichotomy, because it's like how, I have somebody looking for a blank for an old key, old padlock, and it's like if somebody brought it in, you wouldn't really spend the time on it, but because it's something it's like your own thing, you're willing to, like that lock that somebody brought in today, I see it from the boss's standpoint. It's not worth the 10 or 15 bucks he would make trying to get the thing apart if you could just sell them a new cylinder and be on their way.
Right.
So sort of like, you take 2 minutes or, whatever. If you realize it's not going to work, you just say, sorry, I would have asked to keep the lock maybe, but, just whatever. I mean, like I said, I have enough cylinder. I mean, it probably wasn't repairable, to be honest. Even if I would have soaked it and tried to, I got some gunk out of it. I mean, there was nothing moving. I tried moving, one of the pins with a pick, and it was solid.
Oh, wow.
So it had been on there for a long time and corroded brass, and it's like you see it it's like you see it as a collector, and then you see it. It's like you put your locksmith glasses on, and
it's not worth the trouble.
Right. I mean, if it was a historical building and it had to be, maybe we would do something, take the pins out, or do something with it. It's just there's a lot of the stuff like sliding doors. I mean, everything has to be completely exact. There's no, I think it's this part. We have to go out and measure it because it ain't gonna work. But yeah, it's we do a lot. We do door and framework. They install continuous hinges on storefront doors. And these are things I never thought about. It's always, it's more like a glass company type of thing, but we do it. I've helped take doors down, and it's not particularly fun, especially when they're heavy and have a lot of glass, and you have to be very, very, But then you get something old, and it's like, wow, I've never seen one of these before. I had a Russwin knob last week that, 30 years ago, you probably see them every day. And now it's like you see them once a year. So I had never worked on one, and the boss was, explaining how it worked and stuff like that, to rekey it for a customer.
Huh. Yeah, it's the oddball stuff. It's always interesting. Came across one in an antique shop here. It's an old home. I think it was for home, but a big latch assembly with a eagle lock in it. Beautiful patina, but
yeah.
In that case, I'm sure they probably replaced it with something more modern for a reason, but
yeah, I mean, sometimes you hate to see like, oh, they put a wrapper on a door and they, but then realistically, it's like, well, there was a mortise lock in there and you couldn't do anything to it, so either you fill the door in with wood or,
Yeah, there's practical limitations to everything.
For sure. We're not carpenters. We're not painters. There's people have different expectations. You're not going to find a lock that just slides right in most of the time. You might get lucky and go to the Habitat Restore and find something old. I've found brand new Schlage wafer knobs.
Oh. We've got a couple of those.
Obviously, you never know because you never know.
It's like, so where I work, there's a whole. The plant standard is just the 6-pin Schlage was a SC4?
SC4, yeah.
Yeah, that's the plant standard. But the place has been in business since the mid-50s, so you come across some really strange stuff every once in a while. One of the buildings on the office doors has the Schlage wafer locks on the knobs.
What kind of company is this? Like manufacturing or something?
Yeah. It's a manufacturing facility, and the wafer lock knobs are actually on an office area. But
that's funny. That's crazy.
And I would have never noticed till I started getting into Locksport. But you start walking around, and you're like, "What is that?" And you start looking it up, and figure it out, and somebody shows you the key, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. I mean, we still make quite a few of the copies. The SC6 and the SC22. Yeah, they're out there. We replace them when we can.
Yeah, I don't know that these have been used much in recent history, if anybody's locked them much, but
they're not very secure. They're not fun to work on. I've never done it, but a guy from the Locksmith Association said he would show me how. We haven't had a meeting. Well, I haven't gone to a meeting they're meeting, now I'm like, I don't think I'm really, just to be safe. I mean, any other questions? Anything you?
I can't really think of anything right now. Like I said, this is all new to me. I'm not a.
Yeah, no, it's
I'm learning as I go. So
for sure. No, it's fun. It's definitely everybody's kind of learned. No, I hope that you can have success with this for sure.
Well, yeah, I never intended to have a podcast for Locksport in the first place. I was just wanting to find one and couldn't. So
right, there really aren't.
And so I had the equipment, but
yeah,
that was really for my. I do a podcast with my wife, and so the equipment was for that. I am not at all comfortable with most of this. I'm not a.
See, it's a segue. You can edit it out if you want, but I did technical theater, and then I did lighting and sound in high school and college for all different kinds of events and that sort of stuff. So I've always been behind. I've been on the other side of the microphone for a long time. And I did radio, and I took some TV classes, and I never wanted to be on stage. But when I got active in my Masonic Lodge, before I could ask to be on stage crew, the guy asked me if I wanted to have some speaking parts and some stuff, and I did like actual acting roles, and then I was stolen for the stage crew. But it's like I kind of enjoyed it, being on stage and not, I don't love the memorizing, but I enjoy doing college radio and that kind of thing, just having fun, goofing. We did some shows, just basic stuff with some friends, but like running events and doing all the actual sound reinforcement and small bands and things like that. I used to enjoy that. I would say I did spend time for some of the worst college bands you've ever heard of, and there were some that were really bad. And there was one that tried to touch my soundboard. I did not like that. That was
my part of the podcast was mainly the technical side. I was supposed to, and then just kind of bounce questions off of her while she did the bulk of the talking. So that this was new to me.
Like I don't do long YouTube videos, and I won't film myself picking anything as a locksmith, mostly because I don't pick much. But I'll show off my cool stuff.
And you certainly do get a bunch of stuff in.
I think I have one picking video, period.
I think
from college.
First.
My very
first YouTube video was a picking.
Yeah. The people that started Locksport aren't even in Locksport anymore. So it's sort of like you just see this progression of people, and like I'm subscribed to so many people. I'll catch it if somebody tells me to. Like Chris is putting out 5 videos a day. I can't possibly watch all that.
There's so many channels now, and some of them are so prolific that there really is no way to keep up, especially if you work a lot of hours.
But it is cool, like, there's a lot of people that maintain records of these old systems, and if you find say a lock with AC Doco on it stamped ABC 123, I know 2 or 3 people that might have the codes, and I can get those apart because they've documented over the years. And these are and again, we would never do this with a system that's in use, just so everybody knows that. But something that's it's a Ford plant that closed 40 years ago, it's relatively harmless,
right?
Making those keys and documenting and that sort of thing. And a lot of it for me is the history. I'm a member of the American Lock Collectors Association, and this past month there was a whole several-page article about key machines. Stuff that I never seen before because I've only been doing this, a handful of years. So you just, somebody researched patents and figured out, basically what was the first key machine. And there's a guy in Pennsylvania, Tom DeMonch, who has a key machine museum. And he's got a 501c3, and all he does, he does tons of other stuff, but he just has key machines and parts and all different stuff. And he's actually a high security wizard, and he's the ASA distributor that I got that cylinder for Gordon, and great guy, and he's worked for like all the lock companies. But the ingenuity in the way that this stuff was made, that's what I like. When somebody brings in a mortise lock, because no 2 of them are the same. That's what I enjoy, because everything was different. the parts on this best padlock are the same as the ones I get today. It's cool to take it and put it back together and find the parts. And, again, because it's for me, it's worth the time. But, if it was for a customer, you're not going to find the ball bearings and wait 2 weeks for them to come in. You're going to go back on your shelf and sell them a new lock and, have a nice day. In an ideal world, the customer brings in, they order some Avis padlocks. They're supposed to be Russwin. They ordered them in with a Yale cylinder. Like, well, I can sell you today master locks with the same keyway, or you can wait, a week to get the adapters in to make the Avis locks work. The locks are the same shape, same form factor, so he's going to try with the customer, to see if they'll accept it. The only difference, the ones I have in stock aren't key retaining. But, in an ideal world, I could order those from Wilson Bohannon or Packlock, key to their key. But, a lot of the lead time, we stock direct from Master. We order direct. So we have a lot of padlocks in stock.
Yeah.
I love Wilson Bohannon. I love Packlock and, other companies. But unfortunately, it's about lead times and it's about having, and I'm sure that other companies could do it, but, to get a case of 24 Master Pro Series padlocks already keyed up to a number and ready to go within a couple days.
Right.
And we sell a lot of the Pro Series locks for outdoor use. And, there's a big difference between a Master 1 and a Master 65, 6125, ball bearing with a plastic thing. And it's a good lock, and it's going to hold up. A Master number 1,
The problem I have with...
But we sell them. I'm not going to lure somebody into a false sense of security, but,
I know for use where we are, a lot of the padlocks around where I work are just Master number 1s, Master number 3s, and a few different, but they're all the lower end Masters. And we have Oregon is a wet environment. We have some corrosive atmospheres in certain areas. So more often than not, when there's a problem with the padlock, it's because it's rusted solid and it's a bolt cutter operation and just replace it. And I kind of wish they'd invest. Oh, did I lose you?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Just lost the video. I kind of wish they'd invest in something that was a little more corrosion resistant. I know, like Packlock, their Lotto locks, they have the hardened stainless shackle and all that, where that's a big problem we have is our Lotto locks. If you leave them locked on for too long, you have a real hard time. You got to soak them to get them back off.
And I did I'm like, are you sure you don't want this with a brass shackle if you say that you're using this in, an electrical substation? And, I don't know. I'll ask.
And
I don't, it's like, I'm not trying to upsell you. I'm trying to sell you the right thing.
Personally, I would prefer if my work just went with one of the, what is it? They have the Master Lotto locks and stuff with it's a plastic or a nylon type shackle.
Yeah.
Something that's corrosion resistant would be better. It's not like we're putting plastic locking devices on with these locks. We don't need a strong metal lock. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You see a lot of the conversations on the lock picking Reddit and stuff about, why do they put just a cheap plastic body on them? Because that's not the point.
I mean, you see it from a different,
As a user of Lotto stuff, if somebody wants to bypass, they probably can. They're going to get fired for it, and somebody's probably going to get hurt if they do, but you're putting a plastic lockout device and locking it with this padlock. It's there to say, don't do this more than anything else, I guess.
Right.
And
it's you see it from different angles for sure.
And I understand why, like a big company like mine uses Master Lock over Packlock or a lot of the others, is because Master now has that system where they track the locks that that you've bought and you are using, so they can guarantee you don't have two of the same key code in your facility at all. And they
For
track
combination, like for combination locks?
No, this is for the key cuts on lockout tagout locks.
Oh, yeah, with the lockout.
Because
yeah.
our policy is everyone needs a different key code, and Master has a program where they can track that for you.
Well, that's required, I believe. That's not just your. I mean, that's
there are different ways to
There
are different ways to do it. There are master key systems in different plants, but
but I thought lockout tagout was not allowed to be master keyed or key to like.
You can buy them key to like.
Key, one lock.
You can buy them key to like, and you can buy them master keyed. It's it's up to individual plant policies how you do it. You have to guarantee that.
Interesting.
How things are done, and that nobody can get one open that can't. But there are different ways to do it. The easiest way is one key, one person. Because
what I've seen, like a Master 401, you only get one key with it. Period.
Right.
We can't get the blanks. You can't order the. Maybe you can. That's the whole idea with the lockout stuff, is that you can only get one key.
Yeah, you'll only get one key in the box,
so nobody else can open that lock, so you don't get killed.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a whole. I'm not up on all that stuff and codes and basic things that I have to know, but yeah.
Well, I should probably
my phone battery. Well, it's actually better than I thought it would be.
Well, my recorder just gave me an error, so I'm gonna have to use my backup. But
cool.
So I probably should let you go.
Sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good one. Bye. Bye.
All right. If you stayed tuned for the whole interview, thank you very much. Remember, this podcast needs your support. You can support the podcast in several different ways, not the least of which, the most important of which, is sending in any information you have that you like the community to know. Anything that you think is the least bit helpful to the community, send it in to podcast@locksportscast.com, or you can message me on several different social media platforms. You can find all of those in the show notes or at support.thelocksportscast.com. Share the show with your friends, anybody that's even remotely interested in Locksport or the Locksport community. Let them know about the podcast. You can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcasting app. Leave a comment and a thumbs up on YouTube, or subscribe on Patreon or donate via PayPal. If you support the show in one of those significant ways, I will list you as a producer and provide a link to your YouTube channel or blog or whatever you have that you want shared. I will leave a link to that in the show notes on my website, so make sure you send that in along with whatever information you send in. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for supporting me. And please remember to keep it legal.